Of July 2012, and work has been carrying on in the display garden at St Anne's Allotments. We've now got it landscaped and we're starting to put plants in, so I'm going to show you around what we're doing and give you an idea of what we've still got to be planned. So this is the new entrance that we'll be using for the gardens, which is level access, and will be work will be done to the surface to make it wheelchair accessible. But if you come with me, I'll show you where we're up to. So if you just have a general look around the gardens, you'll see it's changed dramatically since we were last here a few months ago. We have had professional landscapers in to do the hard landscaping, and you'll see that volunteers are busy now with planting out. And the way we'll be organising the garden when the display garden is open is you will access through this gate, and this area here will form a small introduction to what happens at the display gardens. And this is an old remnants of the Victorian summer house, which you can just see a little bit of with the old chimney and fireplace, which still works. So we will have little displays in here for people. The first area that the visitors will be able to look at after they've come through the entrance. We've lawned a lot of the garden at the moment. This may change with time, but we've got so many beds that we need to manage. We thought it was useful to do some low maintenance areas as well. So this area can be used as a picnic area, and we've got some hard standing area at the side there which will have seating for people to enjoy themselves. We think it's important that people will be able to come up here and spend time and relax, rather than just seeing it as something that they need to whiz around in 5 or 10 minutes. So after you've relaxed here, you'll be walking through to the Victorian garden. There will eventually be hedges reinstated here, which we'll be putting in during the autumn period later this year. And the greenhouse and the summer house, there are other videos about this on YouTube if you want to check it out, but they're now starting to be used properly, and if we go into the greenhouse we can see what's been going on there. Back in the greenhouse, which was renovated last year and is slowly starting to take shape, we're using it to plant out a lot of vegetables. At the moment you'll see along the wall here we've started, there's a lot of tomato plants and quite a few other small plants along the way. Eventually, during the course of the year, this greenhouse will be developed more into an area where we'll be growing on interesting exotic plants for sale at the allotments. But at the moment we're using it just to sort of get our plants started before we put them out into the gardens. And we've got one of our volunteers, Patricia, is busy putting out seeds at the moment in our little potting area at the back there. This is the outside Victorian garden, which we have all set out with little pathways and small beds. We've still got quite a lot of work to do. The weeds have taken hold during the rain that we've been having over the last month or so. So we're slowly taking control of these beds and putting down growing material. Eventually we'll be planting out Victorian gardens. This particular first bed will be probably a cold frame in our current plants. And again you see there's some volunteers here digging over the beds.
Try and get my best side. I know it's hard, but
so that we can keep on control. We are trying to source a lovely sundial that we would like in the middle there. So if anyone can do me a cheap deal, I'd love to hear from it. And we do intend at the back here, there's another hard standing area where we'll have an arbour, and again a wonderful place for people to sit because you have views right across the city from this area. Obviously we have to keep the hedges trimmed a bit more, but you can see in the distance the hills of Edmonton, and you can also see the town hall from this area. So when people have spent time in the Victorian garden, we would then move them on through some more grassed area, which I'll show you now. We are at the moment keeping as it is. There is an established pond which we'll be doing some more repair work to, because it's been neglected for a year or two and the ferns are taking over. And we'll have some more fruit trees planted around this area and to the back of me as well, because the fruit trees of St Anne's are very important in terms of its history and the story of how it's developed. And then we move the far area here, where you'll see that we've already started quite a bit of planting out, and this will form the basis of our Dig for Victory garden. We do have an Anderson shelter that we'll be putting in so children can experience the how it was during bombing in the Second World War, and the plants that we've got there at the moment may not stay, but we just needed some space to put things out. In the gardens will be our 21st century gardening, and here we've got a few raised beds again that we'll be planting out over the summer, but we also have our wonderful compost loo, very comfortable. We are going to do some more work to it to make it a little bit more accessible, and at the rear we'll have some composting arrangements. We'll also just go around to the back now to show you some of the other things that we're doing. Here at the moment is a bit of an area where we've got lots of resources, but we're also brewing some nice comfrey and nettle fertiliser in this very, very smelly, really smelly water butt, old water butt. And we would say this is part of 21st century gardening, because a lot of people are now using the natural resources like comfrey to make fertiliser to put on the ground. But in fact it's actually coming full circle in terms of the history of gardening, because certainly in Victorian times people would use natural products like this to make fertiliser, although at some point they got very fascinated with chemicals. A lot of people would have used natural products, so we do see that there's a full circle of gardening, and with 21st century gardening, with the ideas behind permaculture, we are going back to an earlier time and learning from our earlier gardeners. So I hope you like this. We've still got a lot of work to do with our new gardener who's running sessions here, if you're interested in coming and helping out. But we hope to have the gardens open for business again by September 2012. So keep an eye open for our open days.